Hey guys and gals, my name is Clepid, and welcome back to Umineko.
With me.
With him.
What's up?
When we last left off, you were kneeling on the ground, kissing Beatrice's feet.
Yeah. It was pretty hot. I can't lie.
You know, you might not be able to lie, but George thinks that's pretty unbelievable.
Apparently.
Scoffing at you. How dare you lick me?
I'm sorry, George.
それが真相だというのかい。
はい。私たちは見たままのことをお話ししています。
Oh, they're still dealing with undead canon.
Yep, they got kicked out, remember?
The consequences of that.
They got kicked out, and Beatrice, no, why am I saying Beatrice? I meant Battler and Rosa and Maria are all together.
Mm.
And we had the whole scene where Rosa's like pulls out the shotgun and she's like, you know, if I was evil, I would have shot you by now.
Right. Yeah. She went a little batshit insane for for actually a good amount of last playthrough. Like, she's having some trouble.
George folded his arms and started humming again. And the kitchen was once again absorbed by a long silence.
I like this track.
ジョージ様がにわかには信じられない気持ちも私はよくわかります。何しろこの目で確かに見たはずの私ですらあれが何だったのかわからなくなる。私は確かに見た。そして取っ組み合いまでしたはずなんです。なのにあれが全部幻だったような気すらする。
It was fake.
なるほどね。
Which just don't
あ
exist.
のローザおばさんに詳しく話せないわけだ。
And neither do walking corpses. Or whatever that was.
今の話を本当にしてたら、もっと面倒なトラブルになっていただろうね。
That are like super buff for no reason.
Yeah.
Dude
なるほど
lifts.。
源氏さんが随分冷静な対応をしていたのが分かりました。
私にそれを説明するだけの力があれば。
George had not actually seen it. So even when pressed to believe, he just couldn't imagine it. It was only natural. Because even the people who had actually seen it had ended up questioning themselves as to what it was.
話を少し巻き戻すよ。シャノンはカノン君が偽物かもしれないと思った時、クモの巣を取ってきたと言ったね。どうしてそんなことを？
そうだ。それは私も思っていました。どうしてクモの巣だったんです？
Because they're the natural enemy of butterflies?
I think that's what we decided on last time.
熊沢さんに聞いたことがあるんです。
Natural enemy of mackerel?
大昔の六軒島には悪霊が住んで
Shannon just slaps Cannon across the face with a
クモの
fish.
巣を恐れたって。それでクモの巣を魔除けと尊んで大切にしたという昔話があるんだそうです。
Okay. So maybe not necessarily against butterflies, but
Magic.
yeah,
Evil magic.
そ
interesting.
れでその土佐に私も少し混乱していたんだと思います。
そんな話が熊沢はそういう昔話に。
クモは液中ですからね。確かにそういう信仰があってもおかしくないかもしれない。
その悪霊の力をあの鳥居の祠が封じ込めてたんだと思います。そして霊境が割られたのでその力が蘇ってベアトリーチェ様を蘇らせる力となってしまったに違いないのです。私が心の弱かった私があんな大それたことをしなければ。
シャノン、その話はもうしなくても大丈夫だよ。僕は君を責めたりなんかしない。
Since long ago, Shannon had often hinted at a certain occult aspect regarding how she had met George. While he did lend an ear to her tales, George had always thought that this was typical of a girl associating love with fate, chance, and miracles. George had thought that breaking the spirit mirror offered to Tori's shrine was going a little too far, but he had forgiven her, laughing it off as just a little prank she had done because she had seriously desired a relationship with him. Just breaking a mirror in some musty shrine wouldn't change the fate of our meeting, and that would never cause any curse. I remember cheering her up, saying it was only a musty mirror covered in dust.
ベアトリーチェ様という霊のような存在がいるという話はこの島に勤めるようになってから最初はバカバカしいと思っていましたが、それを批判すると私も表向きは信じているように振る舞っていきました。しかしまさか本当に
いたんです。ベアトリーチェ様はずっとこのお屋敷におられたんです。
Lies.
でもベアト
Deceitfulness.
リーチェ様は力を失っておられて、私たちの前に姿を現すことができなかったんです。ずっといた。私たちが見えなかっただけなんです。
源氏さんの意見を聞きたいです。
私には何一つだけ申し上げたいのは、私たちはあの時、そしてカノンが勝手口から帰ってきたと思った。そして使用人室に運び、何かが起こって南條先生と熊沢が帰らぬ人となってしまった。それだけです。私たちは見たものをすでに全て説明しました。
But like, how do you not know how somebody died? Like they got. How do you not know how somebody gets? What if somebody gets stabbed? Like, how can you not know if you were watching somebody die how they died? Like, what?
That's a good question. I don't know how. I mean, I guess it's just like such a mix of weird things, like weird, unbelievable things that have happened that like maybe their memories are messed up because of it, or they're second guessing themselves because it seems so impossible. You know,
Yeah.
could be.
But like again, the fact that they can't describe what happens is goes back to my point about reliable narration.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know if
Like-
what we're being shown is actually what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
それは
So, yeah,
見
that's
て
a
い
good
ない
point.
ジョージ様に信
That's
じ
something
ろ
that we kind of have to keep in the back of our minds
無
as
理
we
な話だ
go
と
through
理解
this.
しています。
信じられるわけがない。あれは間違いなくカノンさんだと思った。
But see, I didn't think it was undoubtedly Cannon's son. He had freaking red eyes.
Yeah, and he was doing inhuman things like speaking clearly and moving with a gaping hole in his chest.
Pretty much.
But if there's no magic, then we have to bring into question the
What happened?
yeah.
でもあいつがベッドから起き上がって、そうこんな風にしながら胸の傷をまさぐり始めた時、
Just started he just started sticking his hand in there, feeling around.
I like touching my stomach. I can feel my stomach in
It
here.
was so gross.
こいつはカノンさんじゃない、誰か別の存在なんだと直感しました。ジョージ様にはわからないでしょう。よく知っていると思っていた人物が実は別人であることをさらけ出した瞬間の恐ろしさというものは。
But this kind of brings merit to my my explanation, that my hypothesis that everybody who talks to Beatrice sees Beatrice the way they want to see Beatrice. Kinda. Do you remember when I was saying that?
Vaguely. If you want to bring it up again, go ahead.
Yeah, I had mentioned a while back that when they were seeing Beatrice, they were all kind of hallucinating her. Like, she was the thing that played a specific role in their life. They saw her as how they wanted to see her. Like, for instance, you know, Cannon saw her as like an evil witch, and Shannon saw her as like kind of a mentor spirit.
Yeah.
How everybody connected to her who has seen her sees her in like a different way.
That's a good point.
They're all seeing what they believe she is.
So they're kind of projecting their own, basically wants, like what they want to see Beatrice as. They're
Yes.
projecting it onto her.
Yes.
So maybe that's what they mean by exists. Like, she exists in everybody's mind differently.
And if you've noticed, the people that haven't, the people that have said they don't believe in Beatrice haven't like seen her within in the chessboard, like this world right here. Like only
certain people.
Certain people have actually
Right.
seen her, and those. But then again, I don't know if Kyrie believed.
Yeah, Kyrie was like a weird, like that whole scene was really interesting because there was no like specific. She just kind of passed her and saw her, and they had like a really weird conversation.
Yes.
And it wasn't like as drastic as the way Shannon sees her, as the way Cannon sees her. It was just kind of like an off meeting, you know?
But like,
It doesn't seem to have any more significance.
maybe that's because Kyrie doesn't believe in her as a witch and believes in her as a person, so it was just like a normal, ordinary meeting to her.
It's an interesting thought. I'd like to see how if they develop it.
And of course, I could be completely wrong here.
We're getting into some,
Speculating.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say we're getting into some Evangelion territory here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is the Beatrice that exists within your mind. And this is also the Beatrice that exists within my mind.
I don't get that reference because I haven't seen Evangelion, but
Oh.
when I do see Evangelion, I probably will.
Oh, you will.
Oh man.
説明でき
You're
る
gonna
とても
experience
説明できるわけ
a
が
lot
ない
of emotions.
Oh dear.
わかるよ郷田さんがそれほどまでにショックを受けるどんな恐ろしいことがあったのか
ありがとうございますジョージ様
And they all went silent again. No matter how many times she was consoled, Shannon kept on crying, weeping that listening to the witch's sweet whispers and breaking the spirit mirror that day had been where this all had gone wrong.
君に囁いたという魔女はその鏡があると力を失うんだね
少し説明してくれた気がしますが、よくあの鏡があると力が出せないというようなことを言っていたと思います。
君が割ったというその鏡はどうしたの
覚えていません。多分割ったまま立ち去りましたから、そのままそこに残ってたでしょう。
What are they gonna do? Go out in the rain and try to fix it?
ということは
They can try.
岩礁が雷で撃たれて消えたとかいう時に海の底かまあ拾って接着剤で貼り付けたところで
Or not.
ご利益は戻らないだろうけど
Sorry, what are they talking about right now?
The mirror.
Oh.
The broken mirror. You know, at the beginning of the chapter where they had the whole flashback where Beatrice told Shannon to go out and break the mirror on the cliff.
Yeah.
And then how they're like, oh, that shrine on the cliff, disappeared. And it was
Yeah.
because it had got hit by lightning and crumbled off, going to the sea.
Is Shannon telling everyone about the mirror situation?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah, that's what she said she was crying about, saying that it was her fault because she broke the mirror that unleashed the witch's power.
私は本当になんてことを。
ごめん失言したよ
He didn't know whether Shannon breaking the mirror had really been what had started everything off. The servants didn't go so far as to blame Shannon, but it seemed that they believed it had been the trigger. But even now, there was no way George could believe that much. Even if he was told a story about witches and evil spirits, it just sounded fake to him. Even so, he listened seriously to Shannon's story, trying to find a hint that might relieve at least a bit of the pain in her heart.
そういえばその鳥居にあったものとは違うでしょうが奥様がお守りとして霊鏡をお持ちになっていると聞いたことがあります
Interesting.
夏日おばさんが
はいおじい様の形見置きか何かでもらったものだそうでと
Past
ても
tense at
強い
this
魔除
point.
けの力を持つ霊鏡だとかなんとか
Ooh.
同じ話は私鏡は良くないものを反射して弾き返す力があるのだとか。
その霊鏡があれば魔女のベアトリーチェに対抗できるかな
Here we go. When George proposes, the servants looked up.
祀っていた鳥居と祠はもうないかもしれないけれど、霊鏡がもう一枚あるのは重要なことだよ。夏日おばさんの実家は神職にも通じていると聞いたことがある。それは本当に単なる鏡ではないかもしれない。
Check the epitaph. Is there something about a reflection or mirror?
Oh, yeah, let's see.
'Cause I think I remember most of it, but
Letter from the witch. Oh, did we read this actually?
I think it came up on screen.
In the game, yeah.
Yeah.
Epitaph of the portrait. People in the comment section were saying we were forgetting completely about the epitaph during this episode.
We were. We have been. We've been kind of neglecting it, so.
Nobody's even brought it up. Like, I think they brought it up even more in the first chapter than this. Or in the first episode than this.
Mm-hmm.
Which is strange. But...
That's what I was saying last episode. Like, they have barely mentioned. Like, there was one point in the first episode where they were all in Kinzo's study and they were like, oh, right, the epitaph. That was, like, late middle of the episode. They haven't mentioned it. I don't think they've mentioned it once. Not even when there was a key.
Not even
directly linked to the key in the epitaph.
And not even here when she even said it in the letter. Solving the riddle of the epitaph is a single method by which you can all stop me. Yes, solve the epitaph. Let's not talk about the epitaph.
Yeah, they didn't even address that at all.
Solving the epitaph's the only way we can stop this, so let's not even talk about the epitaph.
Pretty much, yeah.
I love this. I love the soundtrack. Dead Angle is so good.
It is good. We've heard this before, right?
Yes.
確か奥様は宝物箱に入れて大事にしまっているとそんなに大きいものではない
You
の
know
か
what
も
it
しれま
reminds
せ
me
ん
of?
What?
Did you ever play any of the old Splinter Cell games?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But it reminds you of something from there?
Yeah, the music is very like I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe.
It's very hard to describe?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Since we keep getting mixed up whether we've heard stuff or not, there's actually somebody did a ranking of all the Umineko OST in the order they appeared.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like there's over 180 original soundtracks.
That's insane.
To this. And they did it by chapter. So like you can see which ones come up in what order.
Mm.
So if I figure out where chapter 2 is in here, I can figure out where in the soundtracks we are. We're pretty early. There's a lot of songs that come up after chapter 2, like, well, you'll see.
Mm.
We did hear Moon, I think. Maybe?
I seem to have a memory of it coming up on the upper left at some point.
I think we definitely saw that.
私が割った鏡も一見大したことのない小さな鏡に見えました。
相手がオカルトならこちらもオカルトの手段で対抗するしかない。
What if it's not a cult though? Then your occult measures aren't gonna work.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
ただこうして座っていても何も解決しない。
Wait a minute. Beisidiche's hand got burned by the seal that Kinzo put on his door.
Okay.
So we at least have some evidence that things like that work. Possibly.
Maybe.
So
単なる気休めだとしてもやってみる価値はあるよ。
Of course, this didn't mean that George had accepted the witch. However, he thought it would be necessary to have some kind of purification ceremony to heal the wounds in Shannon's heart.
Purification.
So the story about Natsui's spirit mirror was just what the doctor ordered.
行こう。魔女をやっつけようなんて大それたことは言わな
Have
い
you
よ。
ever seen Konosuba?
No.
Oh. I was just there's a scene where one of the characters she's like a water goddess. She can
Aqua?
Yeah, Aqua. So you know about Aqua?
I know about all the characters in Konosuba. I just haven't seen Konosuba.
They have her purifying a lake, but they have her in a cage and she's getting attacked by like crocodiles and she's just sitting in the cage going, purification, purification, purification. And she starts screaming. It's so funny.
でも魔女から身を守る魔除けがあってもいいと思う。 前にマリアちゃんに聞いたんだけど、おじい様の部屋の扉は強力な魔除けが施されているんでしょ。さすがおじい様だね。オカルトに対する防御も十分だったわけだ。行こう、夏日おばさんの部屋へ。
Oh yes, let's split up from the group.
And go into a dead woman's room.
奥様の部屋には鍵がかかっていると思います。
Well, we don't have the master keys.
ローザ様にお返ししてしまいましたし、キーボックスのある使用人室も施錠されてしまいましたし。
Can we tell Rosa to go into
ならばその鍵は夏日おばさんが持ち歩いているはず。礼拝堂にはまだ夏日おばさんの遺体があるはずだ。
Oh god.
警察が来る前に勝手にいじってしまうのは悪いことだけれど、それについてはちゃんと説明しよう。
しかし礼拝堂の入り口も鍵がかけられております。
Did they lock it when they left?
ゴーダさんの腕力じゃガラス1枚割れないのかい？
Then this completely, put it this way. This completely screws up all. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. I was gonna say it completely screws up all the locked rooms if Natsu is carrying around a key, but then I realized it's just a key to her room.
Yeah.
But if something happens with her room, then this whole locked room thing is a mess because there's one of her keys circulating around.
その辺の石で叩き割ればいい。
What if they went around the entire mansion and just unlocked every single door in the mansion and every single window?
If they found a master key?
Yeah, I mean, like, just to kind of like shake things up. Like, what would be the best way to prevent another locked door situation from happening?
That's true.
You know,
Mhm.
because those are the ones that have been getting us.
大切な礼拝堂の窓を破ってしまっても、その
Yeah, fuck the
よ
window.
ろしいのでしょうか。
Who cares about windows?
7 people are dead, right? So I think we can break a window.
おじい様に
A
怒られ
little
る
bit
時
of an
は
emergency.
僕が責任を持つよ。僕はもともと今日後宮家の全員と戦うつもりでいた。君との婚約を許してもらうためにね。だから元よりその覚悟はある。ガラスを割ろう。そして夏日おばさんの遺体から鍵を借りよう。
Apparently grandfather's still alive, but we haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah. I wonder what's going on.
It seemed that George's Clinton would take responsibility had given the servants a great amount of courage. Shannon and Goda glanced at each other, then looked at George's face again.
オカルトに詳しいおじい様だもの。夏日おばさんの霊境の力だってきっと理解してくれる。大丈夫。怒られたりなんかしない。
奥様の鏡で本当にベアトリーチェ様をもう一度封じることができるでしょう。
わからない。でも試す価値はあると思う。なら行こう。表はどんどん暗くなっちゃうよ。急ごう。シャノンは懐中電灯を。
Oh no.
ゴーダさんはガラスを割れそうな道具を。
I guess they're all
ゲンチ
going.
さんはすみません。
Yeah.
傘の用意をお願いします。はい。
Kumasawa-san. Oh wait, you're not here. The servants who had been rejected by Rosa started to move once again, having gained a new master. Actually, we don't even know if they're alive or dead because their bodies are gone.
Oh, Kumasawa and Nanjo got their throats slit, right?
Well, they went to find the bodies and bodies were missing, remember?
Yeah. So we don't know where they are.
Mm-hmm. George, who was normally calm and gentle, was now exuding a commanding presence. Shannon checked the emergency flashlight, just in case she changed the batteries. Goda was examining several heavy-looking cooking tools. Normally a self-respecting chef like himself wouldn't want to use them for anything other than intended purpose. Here comes Goda with the magical frying pan. But now he is frantic to fulfill the orders of the one he had accepted as his master. After some deliberation, he took a large, weighty frying pan.
Nice.
Genji removed several umbrellas from the umbrella stand set in the corner near the back door of the kitchen. Why are we caring about umbrellas? He took 3 of them.
ゲンジさん。
It would suck to walk around in the rain, you know?
ご用命の時に
Get your clothes
全
all
員が
wet.
いないようなことがあっても
An order to be given by
使
who?
用人が
Nobody's alive to give you
恥ずかし
orders.
いことです
そんな源氏さん、今のこの
If
屋敷で
Kinzo needed
一
Oh.
something.
人でいることがどれだけ危険か、あなたもわかるでしょう。
Genji can fend for himself.
Yeah.
私はいいけど親方様からいつお呼び出しがあってもいいように
源氏様、
言ってジョージ様にお仕えするよう くれぐれも粗相のないよ
Don't fuck it up.
うに。ゴーダ、手本となるようよろしく頼む。
はい、お任せください。
必ずやお役目を果たします。
本当にいいんですね、源氏さん。
はい、私はもうこの年です。今日までの人生はすべて親方さん、このような老いぼれがどうなろうと、すべてはルーレットの飯で、私はどのような結果が出るのかをここにすぐ見届けたいと。
I might pump up the voice volume a little bit. Where are we next? Voice volume. There
You
we
sure?
go. Yeah.
It sounded like it was a pretty good balance to me.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah,
Alright.
I mean,
I'll turn it down then. I just couldn't hear what he was saying that well on the last one. It's probably just me though.
was it too low on the last episode?
I think the voice volume was a little low.
Okay.
As Genji said that, he sat down, as though saying he didn't intend to discuss this anymore. His gaze fell to the chessboard that he had played on with Nanjo. When George saw this, he decided to leave Genji there.
行こう、みんな。今は少し風もおとなしいみたいだ。
George took an umbrella and dashed out into the hallway, and Shannon and Goda chased after him, each holding a tool.
This is a great track. It's perfect.
Oh no.
I don't like that long pause.
After they flew out of the room, Genji quietly extended his hand to the side of the chessboard. He softly pulled something that was there towards himself and hid it by covering with his palm.
Genji.
Genji killed his breathing even more than before. As he did, something flashed gold.
Oh, fuck.
From inside an ice pail set on the counter, a small gold butterfly appeared softly and silently. It was almost as though it had watched George and the rest leave and was trying to secretly follow them. It happened in an instant. The gold butterfly, elegantly flapping its wings, was pinned against the wall by the knife Genji had thrown, just like a butterfly in a bug collection.
Woo!
After the gold butterfly beat its wings several times, looking like it was in pain, it accepted the fact that it couldn't break free, became fine gold powder and smoke, and disappeared as though dissolving into water.
Wow.
Genji's gaze was still lowered at the chessboard as though nothing had happened. Maybe he would think of a brilliant move very soon, but no matter what move he made, his opponent would not be able to respond for all eternity. Even though he knew that, Genji searched for a brilliant move. It must have been the perfect way to kill time during that short period before some fate would be given to him. He didn't know what result the roulette would bring about, but that decision would be made very soon. No one could interfere with the tumbling roulette ball. The door to the parlor was not only locked, but blocked with a barricade made of sofas and the like. So Auntie Rosa seems to suspect that if a suspicious person appeared, it would be by breaking the window. Sitting on a one-person sofa, her back to the door, she continued to hold onto her gun. I didn't know it was one anymore, and so, my body and mind worn out, I was just playing with Maria however she wanted. In Maria's words, Beatrice was testing us to see whether we could solve the epitaph with the gold, so we just had to challenge this riddle. At the beginning, I had been a little interested, and I had tried to solve it, but I didn't have a clue as to what these weird paragraphs even meant in the first place. Finally, back to the epitaph. I didn't doubt that there was some riddle hidden there, but I couldn't imagine that I would solve it by chance. In the middle part of the epitaph, there were lines saying to journey to the Golden Land over the course of the 1st to 10th twilight. On the first twilight, sacrifice the 6 chosen by the key.
See, that makes a lot of sense, especially if the key is literally the key to the chapel, you know. But
The
chosen by the key doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
And the first episodes, they were found in the whatever cellar shed.
Right, but it was also locked.
That's
so
true.
I don't know if key is figurative or if it's literal, or if it changes, you know.
But what else could a key be? Like, there's a physical key, but then there's also like if you think of key as in like keyword.
Right. So like
if you're unlocking something, like say you're unlocking a safe or something, the key to that isn't necessarily like a physical key, but it's like you turn the dial and the key is like
it's a combination.
It's a combination lock. Or like it might not even necessarily be it might not even necessarily be like something that unlocks. It might be like an answer key, a key to a puzzle.
Yeah.
Like when we're thinking key, we're thinking like one of those keys that you'd hold and use to lock and unlock a door. But this could be like a key as in like a guide or something.
That's the key to finding or fixing the solution.
Yep.
Or, finding the solution, fixing this problem.
Yep. It's obvious that this hinted at the first 6 murders that had already occurred in the chapel and Jessica and Kenningen's murders. And if this was being followed, we would have to be prepared for yet 5 more people to be killed. On the 4th Twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the 5th Twilight, gouge the chest and kill. On the 6th Twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th Twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th Twilight, gouge the leg and kill. The bodies of Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa Bachan hadn't been found. Now, what if the key is like... Let's take a step back and sort of think about the epitaph as like you were saying the key could be metaphorical.
Right.
What if gouge and kill is also figurative?
In what way?
Like to find the to solve the epitaph, like I'm trying to explain, like
you mean like the head and kill both represent, and maybe gouge to represent like not physical actions or physical things, but like gouge the head and kill might be like dig into someone's mind, find what they're thinking, and
maybe
like, is that what you mean?
Or like for all we know, head, chest, stomach, knee, leg might not even be like actually body parts. Like the head could be symbolic for something, chest could be symbolic for something, stomach could be symbolic for something, knee could be symbolic for something, leg could be symbolic for something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. I just don't know what it would be symbolic for.
That's true.
Like, I can't really think of anything.
Maybe you're overthinking this?
Maybe. Well, to continue overthinking it, I actually had an interesting thought, and I don't know if it matches up or not.
What's that?
Do the Twilights match up with chapters in the episode?
I don't think so.
So, like, in the 5th chapter, like, gouge the head and kill, like, was the chapel wasn't the first chapter of the episode.
No.
Right.
No, it wasn't.
Unless it's counting from when it starts. So the first Twilight could be Sacrifice the Six, and that was 1 chapter, and then the next chapter, then Kenan and Shannon died. So it's separated the 2 that were close.
Maybe.
So it'd be interesting if they corresponded that way. Because it's obviously not...
Yeah.
Because there aren't 8 days that they're on there. Like, this happens all within the span of, like, what, 2 or 3 days?
I just think... I think they're calling Twilight is, like... a time for somebody to be murdered.
Like the twilight of their life?
Maybe.
The in-between point passing from life to death. That's interesting, actually. I never even thought about that.
That's what I'm thinking it means.
That's interesting. Huh. That's great. There's so many interpretations.
Pretty much.
And it's all because they're fucking with us and they haven't told us jack shit yet.
Yep. However, if we reasonably assume that they were the sacrifice of the fourth and fifth Twilights, they would surely be found in a pitiful state with their head and chest gouged. In which case, we could expect that 3 more would be gouged in the stomach, knee and head, or knee and leg, and be killed. Who would that be? I looked around the room, noticing that there were 3 people here, but how should I say it? My emotions seemed paralyzed. Strangely, I didn't find it terrifying. Maria noticed me with my upper body entrusted to the sofa, gazing lazily up at the ceiling. Apparently, she felt I was slacking off in my riddle solving, and she got mad at me and told me I wasn't being serious enough.
なあマリアベアトリーチェは確かこれを解いたらどうするって言ってたんだっけ
I was sure that the witch had written in her letter that she would give up on collecting the interest or something abstract like that. I was optimistically taking that to mean she would give up on killing the whole family, but was it really written with that meaning?
I'm sorry. I have one more.
What?
One more
What is it?
possibility.
What is it?
What if Twilight corresponds to the turns of the chessboard?
Huh.
So like, I guess it would have to be only Beatrice's turn where it would happen on.
Maybe. Holy crap!
Well,
we have ghosts in here. What the hell?
go birds!
Holy shit!
Go birds!
Did that startle you?
A little bit, yeah. I thought someone was like coming through the window or something.
Jeez. Holy shit! Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
That fell from all the way up there. Holy fuck!
Is it all right? Like, is it damaged at all?
No, it doesn't look damaged. Everything's at this point. My entire room's gonna cave in. Oh my god!
That's pretty apt for our season, actually. At the top, and then just falls down,
Oh my
taking everything with it.
I thought if we did solve it, that would be doing just what the culprit wanted us to do, and it would all be a wasted effort.
そんなことはない。この碑文が解けたら、ベアとの儀式はおしまいになる。
That scared the shit out of me.
だからもうそれ以上誰も死ななくなる。
そういうルールを奴が提示してるだけだろこの
I'm
謎
still
と
kind of
か
hungover, so I think my reaction time is a little
じい
delayed.
様
Me
の
too.
隠し黄金のありかがわかるんだろ奴はきっとそれを狙って
狙わないよ。
なんでそう断言でき
黄金は最初からベアとのものだもん。自分のものを狙ったりなんかしない。
じゃあどうしてベアトは俺たちにこんな大ヒントを授けてくれたんだというかどうしてこんなゲームじみたことを仕掛けてきた
魔法に
That's a
は
good question.
リスクが必要なの。
リスクよく意味がわかんねえな
What? There needs to be some kind of risk involved in order for magic to work?
例えばマラソン。完走すれば誰でももらえるメダルと一番になった人しかもらえないメダルって同じ価値だと思う？
思わねえぜつまりなんだよ結局奴は遊んでるってことなのか
No, that's obviously not what she's trying to
I
say.
think there's a little more
わ
to
ざ
it
とこっ
than
ちに
that.
チャンスを与えるようなことをして
違うそれがね魔法というものなの。どんな大きな魔法にも絶対にリスクや弱点があるの。ないといけないの。
魔法って言われるとピンとこねえがギャンブルだって考えれば少しは理解できるな
No reward
でかく
without
失う
risk.
覚悟がなきゃでかくは勝てない
Mm,
そして
I dig
勝
it.
ち目の薄いギャンブルであればあるほど配当はでかくなる
その通りだよ。だからベアとは儀式のリスクをちゃんとみんなに説明したの。だからこの謎を解けばちゃんと儀式は中断される。
This is weird, kinda, because this is Maria in her
In her ooh voice,
in her
saying this.
in her young girl actual age voice talking about. Because usually she'd be using her.
Her creepy hee 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 hee. Yeah.
だってそれを約束
That is a
違反
really
した
good
ら
point.
リ
I
スク
wonder
に
why
なら
they.
ない。
Wonder what significance that has.
これを解けば奴は本当に約束を守るのか。
Because you gotta think, they must, when they're I'm sorry, I'm breaking the fourth wall here, but when they're developing this, they gotta decide what voice they're gonna use for everything and why, and there must be some significance to them.
Yeah, definitely.
To them using Maria's.
That would be a huge oversight if that was just, you know, bad bad voice acting, directing.
Yeah.
You know.
花は枯れるのにどうして美しいの？造花は見分けがつかないほど精巧でもどうして美しくないの？人間は死を落とすから奇跡が起こせる。不死の人間がいたとしてその人物に何の奇跡も起こせる道理はない。
Interesting.
私たちも人生も魔女も儀式も。
Do you think that's what Kinzo's doing?
I don't know.
Gambling his death?
Probably.
私たちはリスクを負わなければ何も成し遂げられないの。
謎が解けたらどうするんだ。ピンポーンって鳴らして挙手して回答を魔女に伝えて答え合わせをするのか。
それは知らない。でも解けばきっと自動的に儀式は終わる。
マリアは詳しいな。そいつはみんなベアトリーチェに習ったのか。
Taking that as a yes.
I think I have an answer to that question. All the times we've heard Maria Turking in the creepy voice is when the whole witch thing. Battler, what's the one difference in Battler now?
Compared to, like, last episode?
No, compared to when we've heard Maria talk about the Beatrice before.
Oh, wait, he said that he believes in her. Oh, damn, you're right. That's gotta be what it is.
He says he believes in her now. So maybe now what Maria is saying, he's no longer seeing as hostile.
Right. And so she's not all... Huh.
Or maybe he just interpreted her as going he before, because she was talking about that, and all along she was just talking like this.
I'm not ready for that, man. I'm not prepared, mentally or physically, for that to be a thing.
So if you don't bear a risk, nothing can be gained. This is doubtlessly the way of the world, but it was in conflict with the chessboard theory style of thinking that I liked. A move in chess is always a search for the best play that minimizes the risk and promises an advantageous turn of events. You don't trust your plays to chance like in gambling. That's right, there are no room for gambling in an intellectual game. And yet this person called Beatrice was carrying out such an outrageous crime, or maybe a ritual, while purposefully imposing conditions for her own loss and announcing them to us. In chess, you always play with the best move, so by standing in your opponent's position, you can predict their next move. However, you couldn't say for sure that Beatrice's moves were always the best moves. I thought she was probably making us focus on the epitaph as a smokescreen to mislead us about something, but Maria said that of all things was impossible. She said that this was a genuine risk that the witch had taken, and therefore proof that this was a formal magical ritual. I can't understand this witch called Beatrice. She must be committing this chain of murders with some goal in mind.
I would think so.
So why would she deliberately expose the conditions for her own defeat?
Because that's the risk.
Or
right?
Because she needs them to solve, or she needs them to win. By winning, something will happen that will help her. This whole thing could be an elaborate way for them, for her to finally lose, you know?
So you're saying she's
doing this as a purpose.
She's desperately trying to lose for once?
Well, she's winning until she wants to keep winning until they can figure out a way to win, because once they figure out a way to win, she'll gain something from them winning.
What will she gain? If she's putting all this effort into...
I don't know what she'll gain, but the fact that she's opening up a way for them to win means that she must want them to win when certain criteria are met.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe she will gain something if they win when certain criteria are met.
Maybe. I don't know. I kind of interpreted it as giving your enemies the key to success is a huge risk, and if she wins when they don't solve the epitaph, that's a big magical payout. If that's the way magic works, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. If she manages to win after she's given them such a clear, well, not really 100% clear, but she's given them a chance to win and taken that risk to give the enemy, like, intel, then that reward, that payoff, whatever she's trying to do is going to be bigger. Well, because that risk was bigger.
She basically won last game. And they've restarted this game. So, if by winning, is it them not figuring out things, or is it them believing? Is her winning them all believing in her existing, or is her winning something else?
Right now, I would say it's her getting them all to believe that she exists. Because that seems to be, at least with the evidence that we have right now, at this moment, that seems to be...
But what does she gain from that?
More power?
Power over what? Killing them? She already is killing them all.
I don't know. I mean, we're kind of straddling this weird line between she has some sort of goal in mind and she's just dicking around. You know? Like, she's just trying to have a little fun. And it's kind of hard to tell which is which.
What do you think?
I really don't know. Based on... so for me, based on everything that we've been given so far, I would say that she wins when she gets everyone to believe in her. Beyond that, what she gains by getting everyone to believe in her, I can't say.
Okay.
So... But it doesn't mean that what you were saying is off the table at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely a possibility.
I'd say that's a fair hypothesis.
But it's knowing this story is probably deeper than what they tell us, you know.
Maybe. No matter how I flip over the chessboard and think from my opponent's perspective, I can't understand why she'd give up if this riddle was solved. Isn't it almost as though Beatrice doesn't care whether she wins or loses? That's kind of what I was saying.
Yeah. So she has nothing to gain from either outcome?
It's not about how it ends, it's about the journey.
That's pretty cliche. But, I mean, I guess... So she's literally doing this just to troll a group of people.
Maybe she wants... Maybe there's something she's trying to tell them.
A lesson that she's trying to teach them?
Yes. What?
She's trying to teach them a lesson about greed.
You think?
After all, they wanted a lot of money right now. They put that in so many times and so in such a deliberate way. There's no way that it's not connected to what she's trying to... Ah, dude.
Yo, you might be onto something.
You kind of led me on the path there.
No,
with she's trying to
I wasn't
tell them something.
I wasn't leading you anywhere. I think she might be trying to tell them something. I didn't think about the whole greed thing.
Well, when you said she's trying to tell them something, I immediately thought, like, teach them a lesson.
Huh.
I like this. We're building off each other.
Yes.
We're making progress. So
I did not think of that.
That's a possibility. we're gonna keep that in the back of our minds as we go forward. And if that turns out to be right, I will give you guys my bank account information. You can donate. No, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You know, that seems very possible, actually. I don't understand. What is Beatrice after that's making her commit this crime? If she just wants to massacre us all, she could just do it just secretly without this whole crazy setup. There was no need for that scrupulous advance notice, dramatic suggestions of locked rooms, or anything. It's all over-dramatized. I don't get the point at all. As long as I continue to think of Beatrice as a greedy human culprit. Will I be unable to understand anything? That's hilarious. They use the word greedy.
Yep. Very interesting.
If I don't accept her as a witch, will I be unable to even set the pieces on the chessboard at all? Fuck. If she really is a witch and everything Maria has said is true, then there's only one thing we should have been doing.
Solving the fucking epitaph.
We shouldn't have bothered with any of the reasoning or the discord or searching for the culprit. We should have all gathered in the dining hall and pulled the knowledge to solve the riddle.
Mm-hmm. A little too late.
If we had pulled the knowledge of that many people, maybe we would have been able to at least grasp the thread of the answer.
But you know why they couldn't?
We greedy humans.
We greedy humans!
Desiring to gain something more than one another, never pulled our knowledge, and we're being offered as sacrifices one by one. Huh. But he's realizing this now. Could this be... If this was what Beatrice was trying to tell them by this entire thing, would he be realizing this now or later on? It might be deeper than this. It might be deeper. That might be one of the things she was trying to say is the greed,
but not the soul thing.
But not the soul thing. It probably goes past greed, considering he's saying this now about them being greedy. Unless the goal is to get all of them to realize this.
Right.
But,
well, I mean, it's interesting too because there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of religious tie-ins, but greed being one of the 7 deadly sins.
Yes.
So I wonder if each of them. We know that the
7 stakes of purgatory.
Yeah. Which correlate to the 7 deadly sins. So, maybe greed is only one of 7 things that she's trying to teach them.
Yo, holy shit.
Right? Did you have a specific thought there?
I didn't have a specific thought, but that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe Shannon and George lust, maybe. Nanjo sloth? I don't know. Or what's the one for when you eat too much? What
is it?
It's slipping my mind.
It's fuck.
Does it start with a G?
How do I not remember? Gluttony.
And
then what's the one? Is anger one?
I think so. Possibly.
Rosa and.
Hold on.
Maria.
I'm gonna look this up. Oh shit! You're right. Okay, hold on. Okay, not the anime 7 Deadly Sins. I want the actual 7 Deadly Sins.
Greed, gluttony, anger, lust, sloth.
So, pride,
envy,
gluttony, lust, anger, greed, and sloth. Maybe Goda is gluttony? But...
No, he just likes cooking. Poor magical Goda.
Yeah, you're right. Who has a lot of pride?
All of the 4 kids.
Everyone. Everyone in this family has pride. Even the servants.
That's true.
For the most part. Envy? You know, canon might have been envious of Shannon and George's relationship because he knew he couldn't have that with Jessica. Or, you know. Some of this might be a stretch.
I don't know. You might be onto something.
What about Sloth?
Kinzo? Just waiting around in his...
I was kind of thinking the same thing. How many Twilights are there in the epitaph?
9 or 10.
Okay. So not 7.
No. Did not mean to do that.
Alright. Well.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to keep in mind.
Huh.
In the end, we were humans getting what... Were we all humans getting what we deserved? We thought we were thinking, but were we actually thinking only of our greedy selves? In the end, chessboard theory is a technique of thinking where you project yourself on your opponent. So greedy people look inside their opponents and see their greedy selves. I looked vaguely at Auntie Rosa. She stared at me back with her shotgun.
She pointed it at me.
She was probably tired from being under all this tension the whole time. She wasn't sleeping, but she was continually staring vaguely at some point off in space. Auntie Rosa had proclaimed that she couldn't trust anyone who had not been killed. Auntie Rosa's chessboard thinking saw herself inside her opponent. In other words, Auntie Rosa might be an isolated woman, unable to trust anyone, unable to let her guard down. Long ago, I think I heard a bit about it from my dad. Auntie Rosa had originally been a very obedient child, but because her age was so far separated from other siblings, and because her confrontational siblings had often made conflicting demands of her, she had been going through psychological hardship ever since she was young.
Sorry, one more thing.
What?
Do we remember what stakes killed Shannon and Jessica specifically?
No, I don't remember.
Or Cannon and Jessica?
We'd have to look back.
Yeah. It would be interesting if they corresponded to what we were talking about. Like, if the stakes that killed them were the things that...
Corresponding?
To their personality.
Be
interesting.
Apparently, when she had taken the side of one sibling, often another gave her a hard time for it. Certainly, Auntie Rosa had said many things today that could be taken as abusive language. But those words that have been engraved into her vocabulary because they've been showered upon her as well.
Just a few things.
The many abusive words she had spoken were also the same abuse that Auntie Rosa had been showered with in the past.
Oh.
Now that I think about it, I had the feeling that her style of speech today had occasional traces of Uncle Kraus and Auntie Eva in it. I just assumed the similarity came from being siblings, but maybe that's because I accidentally skipped text. For the first time, I was able to sympathize from my heart with Auntie Rosa, who I had come to think of as only being gentle. Then, what about Maria? Maria had been claiming something for a while. If we could solve the riddle that the witch had presented to us, the ritual would be halted and we would definitely be saved. And I think she also said that Beatrice would never break a promise she had made. So that describes Maria herself. She is the one with the most innocent heart who would never break a promise. So she's believed that Beatrice wouldn't break a promise either. She could believe that. But wasn't that just an image of Beatrice that Maria had imagined?
Fuck.
But
That goes back to
what I was saying about image of Beatrice that characters are imagining.
Yeah.
There's no proof that the real Beatrice definitely keeps her promises, right? Oh, well, we do
Now
have
there
proof.
is.
気分の謎を解けば黄金鏡へ至ることができるだろう。
Alright, does anybody... Does that mean they'll still be alive?
I would imagine. That's what I thought
さすれば
that meant.
儀式は終わる。それ以上誰も死にはせぬ。
お前みたいな外道の極みが。
わらわが残忍で卑劣で外道であることを。
Can we see that in red text, please?
わらわは魔女だ。
Can we see that in red text, please?
魔法を使う。
Red text? Where's the red
魔
text?
法を使うには守らねばならぬルールがある。
That doesn't sound like magic.
わらわは魔女だからこそそれをないがしろにできぬのだ。それだけは信じるがよい。
これだけめちゃくちゃやってきて、それでもルールだけは信じろって。
わらわはたぶらかしはする。もちろん人も騙す。人間と変わらぬ。
But it's within the rules.
約束として口にしたことを保護にしたことは一度もない。 人間はどうか約束を必ず守るのか
Interesting.
約束を守ろうなんてキャッチフレーズがある以上ちゃんと履行されてるかどうかは疑わしいな。
わらわから見れば人間の方がよっぽど利己的で下道な存在よ。人間の約束ほど疑わしいものはない。わらわも時に人間と契約するが少しでも隙があると連中はすぐに叶える願いの数を100に増やせとか小さな豆粒に変身してみろとか言い出す。
親父によく言われたぜ。契約書ほど怖えもんはねえって。よく読まずにハンコを押すやつは骨の髄まで喋られて当然だって悪徳で荒稼ぎしてやがったんだな。
察しろ。人は生まれながらに詐欺を知りはせぬ。
Something
どこ
that's
かで
taught.
被った。だから覚えた。押し付け合わずにはいられぬ人の世の罪か。はて、どこの魔女に聞いたやら。まあいい。そなたが思って
嘘をつこれだけの大勢をしかもまたこんな残酷な方法で殺しておいて何が無慈悲ではないだ。約束は守るだといい加減なことを言うな。俺はお前を認めない断じてそれを譲らないことだけがお前への抵抗だと俺は信じてる。
なるほど。永遠の苛波であるのはわらわに対しても同じであるというわけか。1000年は長い。魔女の強さは魔力より我慢強さで決まるのかもしれんな。なるほど。ベルン教の恐ろしさもうなずける。
何をわけのわかんねえ話をブツブツ言ってやがる。さっさと永遠の苛波とやらを続けろよ。俺は1000年でも1万年でも付き合う覚悟だぜ。
We haven't seen Van Castell in a long time.
Nope. Ever since the Tea Party.
So I wonder when we'll see her next.
よいよい。少しは戦う気力も戻ってきたようだな。そうでなければつまらない。ほら、対戦ゲームでもよくあるだろう。乱入したけど相手があまりに弱くて拍子抜けでわざと負けて最終ラウンドまで延長させて最後に本気でフルボッコにすることとかってあるだろ
例えの意味がわかんね
う。ワインと同じよ。
What?
よく熟成させねば輝かぬ。
I guess.
お前はそれに耐えられるワインだ。
And I am the cheese.
わらわがじっくり熟成させてやる。
Oh, that's creepy.
そなたをわらわの優雅な時間を彩る最高の美酒に育て上げてやるぞ。だからこの程度で屈服などするな。わらわを引き続き否定してくれよ。何しろわらわはそなたが認めぬ限り儚き幻想に過ぎぬのだから。
Chessboard. Wait, was it the chess piece battler that gave up, or was it the chessboard battler that gave up?
I seem to remember it being a chess piece battler that gave up.
Okay,
I don't remember chessboard battler giving up.
so he's still denying her.
I believe so.
All right.
So does she want him to keep denying her, so the game will keep going
Think so.
until her right moment to strike, basically?
I think that's what she's. Oh shit.
Oh, chapel time.
何度見ても辛いな。
I'm hungry.
教授
I actually am hungry.
お察ししますシャノンさん鍵を頼みます
Do
お
you have
亡
any
くなり
pumpkin
になられた
shapes,
とはいえ
candy or anything?
奥様はレディーです
Icky, icky, pulpy, stringy.
Oh my god.
私には触れることができません
はい。
Shannon nodded sharply, her expression filled with a sense of duty. George, Goda, and Shannon had outbroken a suitable window and were inside the chapel. Since they really hadn't wanted to break one, they had searched for another way in just in case. But in the end, it only proved once again that there was no one that anyone could slip in through, and emphasized further how inscrutable was the chapel's locked room. Inside the chapel, time had stopped since they had left it earlier. Of course, even George could not approach that horrible Halloween party again. It was only natural, because it made him remember again the sadness of losing both of his parents at once, and Goda, thinking of the possibility that their bodies may have changed in some horrible way now that half of a day had passed, didn't want to let George approach. Shannon followed Goda's instructions and approached the party table.
They must be decaying by now. Or starting to, right?
Normally, Shannon might have resented having another dirty job forced on her, but now she could truly understand Goda's mental state. Despite Goda's prodigious skill, he had gotten in trouble, lost his job, and been left out in the streets, and then Natsu had given him a new life. Even though it had just been casual employment for Natsu, Goda must have felt that it was a turning point in his fate. Those around Goda could see that he had felt a special kind of loyalty to Natsu, so he probably didn't want to lose that feeling, even though she was dead. Oh, here we are. Now that half a day had passed, the body of Natsu and the rest had changed completely. Small bugs that had sniffed out the smell of death had started to gather. It really wasn't something you could look at directly. Because of her long experience as a servant, Shannon had an idea of which pocket Natsu had kept the key to her room in. Probably in this pocket. Her guess didn't fail her. And just by touching the outside of the pocket, she could immediately be able to feel it. Shannon held the key up high, showing the others that it had been found. As George and Goda watched her, their eyes opened wide. That wasn't the expression Shannon was expecting, so it startled her.
Oh no. That's not a good way to start off the investigation.
Have we heard this?
I believe so.
Because Shannon hadn't
I'd
noticed.
recognize the name.
George and Goda, watching from afar, had been able to notice it first. Because when Shannon held the key up high, a blizzard of gold leaf had billowed up from around the table. They were countless gold butterflies. Because it was the first time George had seen them, to him they might have looked fantastical. But Goda already knew. He knew that those gold butterflies, far from being beautiful, had swayed over something disastrous, and that the gold swell trying to suck Shannon in. Shannon also realized that she was about to be swallowed up by the gold butterflies. She ran unsteadily, her expression still shocked. As she did, the gold butterflies danced around Shannon in unison. They grouped together. They tried to swallow her up. George and Goda rushed up to Shannon, driving out the group of butterflies, and while the butterflies were scattered, they ran toward the broken window. However, they needed good footing to get out the window, which was surrounded with shards of broken glass. When they had entered, there had been enough time to prepare for that, but now there was none. Oh shit.
This is bad. Oh,
Goda took off his jacket, swinging it around and scattering the group of butterflies, but he was vastly outnumbered. It was doubtful that it even bought them a short amount of time. George struggled with the virtually broken handle. Its age showed and it didn't turn well. Brute force alone won't do it, and needs the right angle or some trick. Just then, Goda saw it. He was seen by it. In other words, their eyes met.
Oh no.
On top of the party table. No, floating above it, backed by a stained glass window, laughing. The figure of the witch.
Oh my god.
He saw the figure of the witch laughing in the center of the golden whirlwind, allowing the gold butterflies to attend to her whims. It should have been Goda's first meeting with her, but he knew her at a glance. Just like the other servants had said, this was certainly the witch of the portrait herself. It's time for dinner!
いただきます。
そなたらを素晴らしきディナーで歓待しなくてはならぬというもの。
Oh, the first course is roasted Goda.
Oh no.
おあつらえ向きに3人ではないか。
Oh shit.
これは実に好都合。
Oh no.
Good lord.
開いた。
ゴーダさん早く。ベアトリーチェ様。
足を止めてもよいのか？
Have we heard this?
No, this is new.
ここがそなたらの墓場にふさわしいというなら、それもよかろうぞ。かつての主の傍らにて死後も仕えたいというその心意気はたたえようぞ。
The golden whirlwind enshrouding the witch burst. It was like an evil hand had literally spread its fingers and was trying to attack them. The group of gold butterflies attacked with a whoosh sound.
急ぐんだ。足を止めちゃいけない。
George's voice brought Shannon and Goda back to themselves. Standing here would be the same as a frog being stared down by a snake. They had to resist. They had to fight in this incarnation of the new, brutal, and frightening order that had enveloped Rokenjima. There was no time to take out their umbrellas. The three of them dashed out into the pouring rain. They had never realized because they didn't turn around. But the gold butterflies apparently couldn't handle the rain too well, and this hampered their ability to chase after the three. Three people ran from their gold pursuers and flew into the mansion.
愉快。こうでなくては面白くない。
They unlocked the door and flew into the room. A bit of the scent from Natsui's favorite gentle incense remained in the room. The mirror!
Oh my
Let's
god.
go! However, there was no time to let them calm now.
どこにあるんだ。宝物箱の中って言ったっけ。
話に聞いただけです。実際にどこにあるかまでは。
多分お化粧台かベッドの脇にあるんじゃないか。
Shannon claimed that because of her woman's sense, but in the corner by the bed there was only an incense burner, a half-read novel, and a pair of glasses. But the dresser was elegant and had many drawers, and would be understandable if she had kept some of her values there.
夏日おばさん。ごめん。
He began to violently open each one of the drawers. He had to hurry. He couldn't actually hear footsteps, but he had the feeling that the witch was approaching. He had the feeling that her laugh was approaching. He pulled out the drawers one by one and examined their contents. Every small box or makeup looked like a treasure box, and the amount of effort it would take to inspect them all made him feel a little dizzy.
この箱かもしれません。鍵がかかってて開きません。
At a glance, it looked slightly larger than a music box. When shaken, it rustled as though various small objects were inside, but it was locked and wouldn't open.
普通鍵はすぐ近くに隠しておくものです。
This was on her body.
あるいは常に身につけている人もいるかも。わからない。わからない。
やむを得ない。壊そう。でも乱暴にはできないね。中の鏡を割ってしまうかもしれない。こじ開ける道具はないかな。
Take the lock.
Goda looked all over the room, trying to see if there was some tool that they could use. And he noticed the door, which had been left open ever since they had entered. He approached the door to close it, and noticed the abominable shadows of people approaching from beyond the darkness in the hall. No, the phrase shadows of people wasn't right, because that referred to human shadows. You can't call the shadows of beings that aren't human shadows of people.
ジョージ様、急い。
Goda's voice trailed off. It was the shock from seeing a procession of those not of this world. He was a servant, so he knew all of the servants that worked for the Ushirome family, but he didn't know about these. However, they were definitely servants.
But not of Kinzo.
They weren't servants working for Ushirome Kenzo or Ushirome Kraus.
Goda versus Goat.
They were new servants who worked for the new master of the mansion, the Golden Witch, Beizurichi, and who had goats' heads and bright red, boiled eyes of lava.
And energy swords.
As the new master laughed loudly and shrimply directed the six of the new servants, he saw her pierce the darkness as she came. Of course, she was clad in gold butterflies that were a symbol. Goda hurriedly closed the door and locked it.
That's probably not going to do much.
However, the instant he locked it, it returned to normal, just as though it had been knocked back by a spring or something.
Huh.
It almost gave the illusion that some prankster on the other side of the door was opening it every time he closed it. Distance-wise, they shouldn't have reached the other side of the door yet. Then who? How? It felt just like playing with a broken toy. Click, boing. Click, boing.
しまらない閉めても開いてしまうどうなってんだこりゃクソクソクソクソ
鍵がわらわを拒むと思うか。その部屋の新しき主をその部屋の扉が拒むと思うのか。
Hurry. It was like the witch could see Goda's frantic effort through the door. Even as he struggled, their footsteps continued to approach. And when not just footsteps, but their breath too could be heard. Goda gave up on the lock and ran the door with his shoulder, making the lock his own large body.
ジョージ様早く早く早く。
ジョージ様、これはどうでしょう。
レターオープナーか。そっちの方がいいね。貸して。万年筆じゃうまくいかない。
George took it and once again dug into the crack under the lid of the treasure box. It looks like it's working.
早く早く。
Oh god.
The pressure from across the door grew even stronger. Goda screamed. It wasn't a war cry for this test of strength. He was terrified. He was simply terrified that, except for a single wooden door, he would be touching something not of this world.
Yeah.
But he was still lucky. He wasn't touching them directly, because they were on the other side of the door. So it was natural that if he did touch them directly, Goda's cry would turn from something brave into a shameful, and yet very real scream that would make glass shatter. Goda couldn't believe what was right below his eyes.
The door.
Going through the door, an arm, almost as though it was sticking through the surface of water, slipped through as though it was perfectly natural and struck the back of Goda's hand as he desperately tried to hold the door closed.
No.
It traced slowly up his arm to his chest, and then his chin.
Oh god.
By now, Goda's scream was not even vocalized. He could hear a sweet, whispering voice from across the door. It wasn't coming from the witch, but judging by the sound of this voice, it was a young woman. But there was no difference in the fact that it was a voice from not one of this world.
Oh my god. I'm gonna admit I'm a little turned on right now. I love the overly cutesy moe voice with the impending death. It's a good combo.
It's terrifying.
Well,
The obscene arm burst apart, and they heard the sound of something jumping around the room at an incredible speed. They didn't know what it was. Incredibly fast, small like steel, maybe a beetle. When it buried itself right in the center of Goda's chest and stopped for the first time, they realized that its true form was something like a stake with a strange design on it. Goda's large body shook, bent backwards, and fell over. As it did, the door opened softly, even though no one was pushing it, and the new masters of this room were welcomed in. It looked almost as though the door itself had accepted them.
oh crap.
The goat attendants entered one after another, 6 of them. Then that witch appeared, and the gold butterflies entered. The room was wrapped in a blizzard of gold leaf, which fell and piled up, turning it into a world of gold.
シャノン、ルーレットはそなたとジョージを選んだ。解放の日に感謝せよ。未練はあるまい？ないよな。惚れた男から婚約指輪をもらって夜も共にしないうちに殺されてしまっても未練なんかないよな。女の幸せを教えてもらいたかったんだろう。ああ、シャーノン、ダメダメ、垂れてるぜ。お前の口元から未練がだらだら垂れてんのが見えるぜ。シャーノン
What the fuck?
It's so overblown, I love it. Oh my god.
Crack. It was the sound of the lid to the treasure box breaking and opening. When
We don't
George
even know
turned
if
her
it's gonna
over,
work.
out fell accessories, charms, very small objects that Natsui had treasured when she was a girl. Mixed in with those was a pouch that stood out for the rest. He picked it up and checked it immediately. This was it.
見つけたこれだ
Shh!
いいって及ばなかったの死ね
くそ
Get it out, George!
Yeah.
All at once,
Whip it out. Whip it out, George.
the gold butterflies attacked George, who was painfully slowly trying to remove the contents from the pouch. Oh. Just then, it seemed like, for just an instant, a bright red flash lit up the room. The red flash seemed to wipe out the gold butterflies that were raging on the room within a circle drawn with Shannon at the center. Therefore, it was a very divine scene, almost as though a single streak of light had cut through the clouds and the ceiling in this world of gold. George, who was curled in a ball trying to protect himself from the group of butterflies, didn't have a clue what had occurred.
Whoa.
Then he noticed that Shannon was blocking the way to him, shielding him, with a serious face that she had never shown him
Oh
before,
my god.
as she glared at the witch and the rest.
Oh my god.
忘れていたそなたもまた金蔵の
I was
優れた
hoping she
カードだ
would
った
be able to
な
pull out like an energy sword or something.
それもカノンよりだいぶ熟成した
カノン君をよくも殺したことじゃない
God damn.
よくも亡骸を消し去りその名誉まで汚そうと
Just
した
keep
の
showing us more and more reasons that she's best girl.
おやおやシャーノそれ怒ってるのかカノンに会えなくて寂しいならわらわに頼めよ
Lord.
George, get the pouch open. What? When the witch snapped her fingers, one of the 6 goat attendants glittered in gold and changed into Cannon.
Ugh.
It was definitely a sight to make one doubt their eyes. It was definitely Cannon's face. But his eyes were red? Yes. However, in
Yeah.
those eyes, there was none of that sincere glint of Cannon's. There were only the clouded eyes of furniture that did nothing but obey the orders of the witch. George couldn't understand the scene right in front of his eyes. He finally understood why Goat and the rest had been unable to talk about what they had seen in the servant room.
楽しいですか
ああ楽しいぞ死が引き裂いた2人を再会させるのはいつだって楽しい死で引き裂いて1度合わせて2度もう一度引き裂いて3度楽しめるのだからなさあカノン姉と遊んでやりなさいもし痛めつけられたら思いっきり苦悶の表情を浮かべてやるといい
Oh boy.
From the imposter Cannon's arm, a strangely shining trail extended. It planned to tear Shannon apart with that. Shannon, who still hadn't prepared her heart, apart with a single stroke.
許さない一度ならず二度までも死者を汚すなんて許せない
ほざくな弟に殺されろよショーのきっといい夢が見られるぜ
Oh, good lord.
As the imposter Cannon drew several purple trails, he had definitely attacked Shannon, but when he flew at Shannon, it felt like some kind of invisible wall had been set up in front of her. A bright red ripple was left on the wall, and it repelled the imposter. No, it didn't repel him, it smashed him. It knocked him back, turning him into golden dust into pieces, scattering him. The figure of the foolish furniture who had mocked Cannon's form and even disgraced his honor after his death broke into countless golden butterflies.
That is just that's the best picture anyone could ever ask for.
And then those butterflies themselves broke into pieces, and those pieces were broken into pieces until they were no longer butterflies but a spray of gold and disappeared.
シャロン
ジョージさんはそこから動かないでください中心軸をずらしたくない
これは驚いた。虫一匹殺せない面をしてこれだけの力を見せたか。
It's the power of love.
なるほど。霊境がそなたに力を貸しているというのか。しかしその霊境の本当の力を引き出すには準備も時間も足りないな。そのどちらもわらわは与えはせぬ。
The spirit mirror George gripped was letting out a divine radiance and displaying its strength, not to submit to wicked power. But that radiance was no match for the witch's sinister nature.
これだから家具は怖い。予期せずしてタンスの角にぶつける足の小指のような気持ちよ。これだから家具は怖い。家具だ。
家具。
私は家具じゃない。そしてあなたを今はとても哀れに思う。
I'm going to go to Japan and yell, Watashi no kagu janai. Or Watashi wa kagu janai. I am not furniture.
There would probably be a good amount of people that would understand, but for the most part, they would probably be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Watashi wa kagu janai. Right in the middle of the subway in Tokyo. Why is this guy saying he's not furniture?
Must be a mistranslation or something.
何ほう千年の魔女に100年もいた
If
ら
I yelled in middle class, I'm not furniture.
Yeah, pretty much. It would be like,
It would be funny.
what?
あなたはとても哀れな人。愛し合う二人に未練がないわけがない。でもあなたの期待するような未練はかけらほどもない。
語るか。家具のジョージと結ばれたくてわらわの靴を舐めた日々を忘れてわらわにそれを語るか。
愛に生き霊念を這うが人間。それを嘲笑い見下しているつもりであなたはそれにはるかに劣る。
She's got good zingers, man.
Yep.
私
She's
は
got great points.
今こそあなたを哀れに思う。
Oof, get wrecked.
F in the
愛し合
chat.
う
二人にとって添い遂げることに
You're so
どれ
pitiful.
ほどの意味が。意味はある。きっとある。でもそれはあなたの言うこととは全然違う。もっと新鮮にしてあなたごとき邪悪が口にする資格もないほどの新鮮な意味がある。だから私にはすでに何の未練もない。ジョージさんと愛を誓い合った。
She has regret hanging from her mouth.
その証と
What's
し
the
て指輪を受け取った。
hanging from
それで
I have no
永遠の
idea.
誓いは完了
I've
した。
never heard that before. I mean, besides in here.
あなたがどんな邪悪な魔法や悪意で私たちを災難だとしても永遠は汚さない。
綺麗事を詩人のように語るな。愛は情欲なんだよ。少女漫画見たく綺麗事ばっかりで語れねえんだよ。男どもはお前の匂いに惹かれて群がるウジバエどもなんだよ。
Someone had bad experience with men.
Yeah, who hurt you?
そんなこともその年でまだ理解できねえのかよ。お前は失望するぜ。その後ろのメガネ男のどす黒い欲望。がっかり愕然唖然呆然全然ダメだぜ。ショーノ
Holy shit.
My God. Oh Lord.
語るな家具が。この家具何様のつもりだよ語りやがって。愛なんて結局はど汚ねえ汚物をどう綺麗に見せようかって欺瞞なんだよ。そいつに気づいて人は大人になるんだろう。死ねよクズ。家具スクラップ。お前を汚らわしいウジ虫に変えてやるよ。そいつの愛のど汚ねえ現実ってやつを教えてやるよ。死ねよガラクタが。 てめえが愛を語るんじゃね
Jesus.
You know, I think she has some problems that she needs to address.
I
Maybe
think so
with,
too.
like a therapist or someone who's
Maybe.
so a trained professional. She mentioned lust specifically too, so that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
You know, there has to be more to her outrage. Like, there has to be something must have caused that. Because this is just, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like she's had outbursts before, but this is like specifically very bad, if not the worst she's had so far. So
The invisible column of light with Shannon at the center started to have bright red ripples drawn all over it at once. The wall did its best to withstand the invisible mouse that was trying to corrode it from all directions.
なんだよそれは。抵抗してるつもりかよ。安っぽいんだよ。薄っぺらいんだよ。お前の綺麗事と同じなんだよ。見せかけだけの見たくないものをベールで覆って隠してるだけなんだよ。まだわかんないのかよ。だから家具なんだよ。家具。ほらほらほらほらほら削られてるぜ。
What
カ
the?
リカリコリコリガリガリゴリゴリなんて薄くて情けないんだよ。
What the? What is she doing?
お前のその薄っぺらな抵抗に比べたらパルミジャーノレッジアーノの方がまだ削るのに
Okay,
苦労が
I'm
い
sorry.
るぜ。
What?
Is she? What?
Parmigiano what? Do you know who that is?
Parmigiano Reggiano? I have no idea.
Oh. It's an Italian hard granular cheese. It's Parmesan cheese.
Parmigiano Reggiano.
It's Parmesan.
Gotta get some formaggio in your life.
The golden windstorm that covered the room gradually shaved away the walls of the column that protected Shannon and George. The bright red ripples frantically drew a pattern of resistance, but the wall was beginning to envelop the two, becoming a red wall of despair.
庄司さん、
Uh,
ごめんなさい。
she's
や
not
は
strong
り
enough.
私には無理でした。
Kiss her!
ありがとう。君は僕のためにそれだけで嬉しいよ。
As the column that had once protected them was assaulted and covered with a trail of blood-curdling red ripples, it contracted and began to suck the two of them up instead.
Damn.
Use the mirror, unless the mirror doesn't work.
She said they don't have the time or the know-how to get it to work right. Apparently.
庄司さん、お願いが。
Shannon grasped George's hand behind her, so George hugged her shoulders just as strongly.
最後に愛してるって。
さよ僕は君を
Motherfucker.